season, John Force was lucky to survive. He not only lost his bid for a third Winston Funny Car Championship, but the emotional toll was devastating.
You don't realize what it was like to lose it after 2 years. It was like you didn't have a reason to go on, but we got the reason back. It was the fan response when I lost the championship. I thought I lost them. I think our following got bigger. It shows how they love an underdog, and I've been that. So we're back on top now, and we're going to win it for the fans.
That inspiration has led Force to this dream season, a third championship, a near certainty. But there's one race he's never won, the biggest of all.
If you haven't won Indy, you ain't done nothing.
Welcome to Indianapolis Raceway Park in Indianapolis, Indiana for the 39th running of the NHRA U.S. Nationals. Hello everyone, I'm Brian Hammonds. This is the Super Bowl of drag racing, and today you'll be seeing competition in the 3 pro categories: Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Pro Stock. We've already seen track records set in 2 of those 3 categories, and the huge crowd on hand here today could be in for some more record-setting runs. The ideal conditions here are very conducive to some fast speeds, overcast skies, cool temperatures. Now, to find out more about today's race, let's go down to the pits and meet Steve Evans.
Brian, you're looking at a survivor here, Mr. 301 himself, Kenny Bernstein. And I say survivor because we already have had a record of sorts set. A record number of favorites fell in round 1 of Top Fuel earlier today. Joe Amato, 3-time champion, reigning Winston champion, he's out of here. Mr. Hard Luck, Corey McClanathan. Looked like his luck had turned from bad to good. He qualified number 1. He too fell round 1. A Supercharger drive belt came off about 300 feet out. Doug Herbert thundered into round number 2. It appeared defending U.S. National champion Ed McCullough had regained last year's form. He appeared to be headed for victory until he, too, had supercharger drive problems, and that advanced Pat Austin. But the biggest surprise of all, 6-time event winner this year, points leader Eddie Hill near lane, was no match for Don Prudhomme.
It's a bitter pill to swallow here, but what can I say, you know? One of those deals. That's why they call it racing.
Defending Funny Car champion Cruz Pendragon fared no better than McCullough, his teammate. They overpowered the racetrack and advanced Kenji Okazaki. With more on that, Frank Hawley.
Thanks, Steve. I'm in Kenji Okasaki's pit area, and he's the driver, as you mentioned, that just beat the defending champion Cruz Pendragon in the first round. Now, they're running a lot better this weekend than they ever have in the past. Jim Dunn, his crew chief, says that they've been holding back a little bit on the horsepower they've been giving Kenji in this car because he's a new driver. But he's been coming into his own lately, and they're giving him a power that may put him in the final round and make him the first ever non-North American driver to win this race. Kenji's just been having a fabulous weekend. One driver that had a terrible weekend was Paul Smith in his first round competition with Jim Epler. It looked like it was going to be a good race for Paul Smith, but as he approached the finish line, the car exploded into a ball of fire. The body blew off, and Paul fought for control as the chassis spun across in front of Epler. He was unhurt. And talk about long shots and upsets, how about Pro Stock, where Lewis Warden stopped Bruce Allen in the first round, Mark Powick in the second round, and now faces Scott Jeffrey on in the semifinals. In the other half of the semifinal, that father and son battle of Johnson versus Johnson.
All right, thank you, Frank. You're looking at Doug Herbert getting ready for second round action of Top Fuel competition. Herbert beat Corey McClanathan in the first round.
And Brian, Doug Herbert is driving a backup car. His frontline machine was completely destroyed in a high-speed crash in Topeka earlier this year. And by destroyed, I mean they couldn't even save the steering wheel.
This is Rance McDaniel, who knocked off Pat Dakin in the first round to set up this showdown with Doug Herbert. Here's a look at the point standings, and with Eddie Hill already beaten in the first round, Kenny Bernstein has an opportunity to make up the ground.
You bet. As we watch Doug Herbert back up here, understand that these cars make about 3 horsepower for every pound of weight. To put that into perspective, imagine if your 3 horsepower lawnmower weighed 1 pound. It'd be pretty quick.
Not bad at all. You can mow a lot of grass with that lawnmower.
Rance McDaniel, 52 years of age, out of Central California. Took a long time out of the sport, but he's back big time. Doug Herbert, well, just 28 years of age, an entrepreneur who operates his own mail-order performance parts business, flies his own plane. crammed a lot into 28 years of life. Rance McDaniel has maybe the most consistent car in the sport. The machine in the far lane, it just needs to be consistently quicker. The staging process, they're ready. And it's Herbert with a solid 4.92 second elapsed time at over 289 miles an hour. Let's go to Frank Hawley at the starting line with the winning crew chief.
The track's nice and cool. Looks like the performances are improving.
Yes, and I think, the track actually was too good for us the first run. And, we thought we were aggressive and only run a 5 flat, so we just take a chance. And, you can do anything you want. The track is really good. In fact, we need more. So let's do a little more next run. Thank you.
This next matchup, this is Don the Snake Prudhomme and the Skull Bandit. He's been here many times at the U.S. Nationals. This is his 26th U.S. Nationals. He's been here 26 of the 39 years. He will face Pat Austin, who has 4 alcohol funny car championships. He's never won a Top Fuel championship.
Both of these are resurgent cars. Both have failed to qualify several times this season, but have hit their stride here at the U.S. Nationals. Don Prudhomme, thanks to a new crew chief, Leonard Hughes, and the Austin family just finally learning enough about Top Fuel to be really competitive. They don't use any outside talent. They do it all within the family.
Don Prudhomme, he's the one that knocked off Eddie Hill in the first round. He has 7 U.S. National wins.
Pat Austin, just 27 years of age from Tacoma, Washington, has lane choice here because he ran quicker in the previous round. His 494 to Don Prudhomme's 5 flat, and he hopes, along with his brother Mike, that they have Prudhomme on the ropes.
Cars moving into the staging area. That's Prudhomme in the far lane. Austin had lane choice. He chose the near lane.
Beautiful start and a beautiful finish for Pat Austin, hurting the engine, it would appear. 4.96 seconds, 280 miles an hour.
Prudhomme ran the fastest speed, but it's ET that wins drag races, the elapsed time, and Austin had the quicker ET. Meanwhile, down in the funny car pits, this is Chuck Etchells preparing for his second round showdown with Kenji Okazaki. That nitromethane right there in that beaker probably cost about $10. Nitro makes up about 93% of the fuel mixture. Methanol alcohol makes up the other 7%. Now let's go down to the far end. Steve Evans.
Well, it had a ton of smoke out of it, but I don't think at this point you really care.
Yeah, something happened there. I don't know what I did. It felt really running good in the bottom, and all of a sudden it kind of stopped. And then all of a sudden something went bang, and I felt something going. And it took off again for a second. I don't know. This is pretty weird, but it don't matter. We're having the time of our life. The Cashel, Syntec, Dynamax, Oldsmobile, Red Wing Shoes cars going into the semis, and that's a cry. I mean, that's a lot better than we've been doing, so we're having a great time. We'll see you next round, guys.
Okay. He's forgotten how to interview. We haven't talked in a long time.
This is NBC's Sports World, and today it's brought to you by Goodyear, #1 in tires. By Budweiser, fresh, pure, natural, proud to be your Bud. By Allied Signals Autolite Smart Plugs, guaranteed for 2
of the NHRA U.S. Nationals. We continue in the second round of Top Fuel competition. This is the King of Speed, Kenny Bernstein, celebrating his 49th birthday today. He'll be going against Del Worsham. And Worsham is in the far lane. Bernstein has lane choice. He'll be in the near lane.
This is only Del Worsham's 4th race as a Top Fuel driver. He also campaigns a Nitro Funny car. We'll see later on. He's still in contention there. Up against Kenny Bernstein, the first ever to top 300 miles an hour, a man who has won here in funny cars and Top Fuel dragsters, and he was a lucky guy back in 1991. In the final round, his opponent was Pat Austin, who blew a supercharger. That was his first ever Top Fuel race, a bit of inexperience, and then Austin watched in agony as Kenny Bernstein lost traction. He would have been an easy mark. So Bernstein coasted to his first Top Fuel U.S. Nationals title in '91.
You can see Kenny Bernstein's crew chief, Dale Armstrong, guide him into the staging area. And there's Del Worsham.
Worsham did not have lane choice. That went to Bernstein. He selected the near lane. That has been the favored lane. And Worsham leaves too soon. A red light. He is whoa, and Kenny Bernstein. A horrific engine explosion. Driving in his own oil. Kenny's car is equipped with a diaper-like bag under the engine that is containing most of the air at parts and a lot of the oil. Let's go to Frank.
You had some problems, but you're in the semis. Can you fix it and get it straightened out?
Oh, we'll fix it. I guarantee you we'll be back. But it's surprising. It looked like it was on a real good run. We'll just have to look at it.
Any idea what might have happened?
Not at all, Frank.